but Marvel was. I still haven't really cracked Marvel at all.
That's
I
funny.
can't. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I've
Well,
been
that's
at it like 25 years, and like I spent from like 2018 to 2022 messaging every editor at Marvel, in what I think is the height of my art powers too. Just nothing.
that's just very kind of
Once
interesting
a
to
month.
me because I know for
Like
a fact,
Todd
yeah.
McFarlane always, but I just keep sending them stuff until they said yes. Well, I did it for years.
Well, it's just like I said, I find that very interesting because I know for a fact we've had more people that have done work at Marvel or are currently working at Marvel. I've seen like Tom Brevoort's been on the show, and as well as the PanCon, discussing things, and they've been more accessible as far as coming on the show than DC has.
Oh,
I
that's
know
interesting.
that. Um,
Well, I haven't worked for DC in years either. So, but I mean, like back in the day, DC was when back in the day, DC was always more accessible. But I don't know. Maybe Marvel's changed now. I don't know.
did
But I
you
mean,
know
up to
editors?
2022, I had every editor's email, and I was messaging all of them. I
See,
don't know.
so you had a
Maybe they don't.
relationship with the
The other thing
editors.
is, like, you know, I might not be what they're going for. Gigantic, 45-year-old testosterone junkie white dude, that wrestles. They may not want that. It's not really their thing at the moment.
Like, you don't need a story that's talking about the political commentary of violence compared to sexuality. They probably wouldn't do that, in all sincerity. The story that you're writing within Mother Trucker, because one, I
Well,
mean,
that's why I do it. That's why I do it on Kickstarter.
yeah, like I don't think you could get either of the big two, as far as Marvel or DC, to
I
approve
couldn't
that.
get
Okay,
Image to do. I
huh?
was pitch. I was pitching Mother Trucker for a year and a half before Do a Powerbomb came out, and I had a series at Image for 3 years.
What do you think made it to where Mother Trucker was so hard to get out there to the point where you did have to kickstart it?
I know why, but I don't think we need to get into that. There was like other stuff going on. I got mad.
Fine. Let's get into the fact. Let's get into just something totally different, then, man. Like
Yeah.
you see, you didn't like Ric Flair growing up.
I didn't like Ric Flair growing up. I thought he was weird.
That was his job, man. You weren't supposed to like Ric Flair,
No,
right?
I read that, but now I absolutely. Well, here's the story. I absolutely adore Ric Flair. However, Ric, I've met Ric Flair like 10 times, and every time he's like a dick to me. It's amazing. It's so funny. Yeah, get out of here, kid. like, like a million times. 10 times, in fact, I've counted 10 times. I'll go up to him at the bar because we're at Comic Cons, right? He's always invited to the Comic Cons. He's an old man, right? And I'm there. I'm just dying to talk to Ric Flair, especially me. And every time he'll tell me like, "Oh, get out of here, kid." Meanwhile, Kevin Nash, him and I just like did it up one night, went out in town. Like Kevin Nash is the coolest guy I know.
Man, I got a Kevin Nash story for you. Funnily enough, so I'm like 15 at the time, right? So I'm not. I haven't reached my because I'm 6'2" now. I'm a fairly big dude. You know what I mean? But I was significantly smaller when I was 15. I mean, not
How tall are you?
significantly, but 6'2".
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, so I'm a fairly
And you've
large
met
dude.
Kevin Nash.
When I was 15, so I wasn't even fully grown,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm waiting in line. I go down and I sit next to him, and I'm like, "This is awesome!" Like in my brain, right? I'm like, "This is so fucking cool!" Like, cause I'm 15, I'm meeting Kevin Nash. Like, I had an artist draw a sketch of him actually right here. You can't quite see it, but that's from when they did his
Hell
comic.
yeah.
You know.
Hell yeah.
And I'll never forget. Nash takes and he goes and puts his hand on my shoulder. Right? Now, I didn't see him going about to do this because we was taking a picture, but I was initially like, fuck, is that a bear paw? Oh, shit. That's his hand.
He's huge.
For a fucking
He's
moment, yeah,
huge.
I thought a goddamn bear grabbed my shoulder or some shit. I was like, what the fuck? Oh.
That man is gigantic. I am 6'2",
Eh.
225, and when I met him, I felt like I was looking up at a mountain. Like I was looking right up at him, like, what the hell? And he's not just tall. It's not like meeting a basketball player. He's like big as a bloody house. His shoulders are gigantic. He's huge. He's
Yeah,
massive.
he's a he's a big he's a very large man, man. And I will say,
He's
I
a
always
giant.
yeah, I always just
The
remember him putting
coolest
his
guy
hand on my
ever.
shoulder. Oh my god.
He was so cool. He bought all the beers, and he was like, so I was hanging out with a guy named, what's his first name? I feel like it's John Barrymore. He's the guy from the Hills Have Eyes, the bald guy.
Yeah,
Hills Have Eyes,
vaguely.
kind
Yeah.
of creepy. Anyway, I was
Vaguely.
over there because like I was talking about horror movies, like being in the Hills Have Eyes, and I think did he do some stuff for Rob Zombie? I can't remember. Anyway, I got really excited because I was a fan of the Hills Have Eyes, and we got to chatting, and he knew Kevin Nash, so Kevin Nash came over. He's like, "Hey, buddy, who's your friend?" And I was like, "Oh, my name's Andy. I read comic books and stuff like that." And he's like, "Okay, cool. Do you like wrestling?" And I was like, "I just started training as a wrestler." He's like, "Okay, for the next 3 hours, I'll buy all the beer. You can ask me whatever you want." And I was like, "What's happening? What's happening?" And Kevin Nash is coming to buy me beers and let me ask him wrestling questions for 3 hours. And we just like, I mean, we didn't talk about wrestling the whole time. We were just like shooting the breeze the whole time. But like, he told me some crazy wrestling stories. It was like just really interesting. It's really,
Well,
really
man,
cool.
not only that, that's somebody I think you could really get an insight into the business on a like on so many facets. I mean, he's worked.
He was supposed to break the streak.
Huh?
Undertaker's streak. He was supposed to break the streak. I mean, it wasn't a big streak at that point. I think it was like 7 WrestleManias or 6 WrestleManias, something like that. But anyway, he was going to break the streak. And that day, Undertaker had been served his divorce papers. So the
Oh,
whole was like super sad and didn't want to do it. And then Kevin Nash kept bugging him. And then Kevin Nash is like, he's like, "Yeah, my wife just sent me these papers today on WrestleMania Day." And Kevin Nash is like, "I'm not going to beat you today then." Stupid.
it's really funny to think that Undertaker's wife helped make him more famous. Well,
Yep.
ex-wife, I mean, because
Yeah.
yeah, if she wouldn't have sent those papers that day, he wouldn't have established his streak that he did, and that's that's damn crazy, man. Like on a whole other thing. Hey, real quick though, man, I know because I'm seeing the damn tweets and such posts by you. I know you're running something else currently, comic book wise, right? You're getting ready to do something else, not Mother Trucker. I can't look. I can't keep fucking track. You got to tell
Oh,
me. Help me
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Help me
yeah,
out,
yeah.
Andy.
So when I'm done Mother Trucker, I'm starting a 4-issue series for Death Dealer 2099 with
Yeah.
Frazetta. Frank Frazetta's like legacy, like the Frazetta girls and stuff. I'm doing Death Dealer 2099. I've already wrote the script. I did the whole outline for all 4 issues, the pitch, and then I wrote the script for issue 1, and I've done a cover for issue 1 and 2.
Yeah, because I know I've seen some cover work as far as by you. What can you tell us about that, man?
Oh man, okay. So this this is. I mean, Mother Trucker's my baby. This one, if all goes well, is gonna like blow the doors off. This is gonna melt your face. When Sarah Frazetta read this script, she lost her mind. She freaked out, and so did the guys at Opus. They freaked out. I've been waiting to write this comic for years, not because it's Death Dealer 2099. I'm a massive Frazetta fan, like massive Frazetta fan. I always have been since I was a little kid. I mean, I had Creepy #1 when I was like 8, and just from then on, I was like a Frazetta freak. Frazetta, Buscema, all those guys. And I even went to this poster show in Toronto of Metallica's Kirk Hammett. He collects crazy vintage horror movie posters. And he had a giant gallery show in Toronto of hundreds of posters, like originals from horror movies from the 50s and the 60s and crazy stuff. I went because he had an original Frazetta painting in there. He's got the Wolfman fighting Dracula. And I was like, I gotta see that painting. So me and my wife went. And I was like, I gotta see that painting. So when it came up, all the guys that were working for Opus were my editors at Heavy Metal Magazine. So I've worked for Heavy Metal Magazine, I think 4, 5, 6 times over the last 5, 6 years before they went tits up. And my editors went over there, and I did a thing for Megadeth that even Megadeth freaked out for. And it was with Dan Fogler, the actor from Fantastic Beasts and Walking Dead. And we have a book coming out. I did an issue of Brooklyn Gladiator for him. That's coming out soon. I have to ink the last few pages, but it's pretty badass too. And anyway, the Death Dealer one I've been waiting to write for years. So for years I was trying to get on Judge Dredd. So I have a major pitch for Judge Dredd, and it just when IDW had it, I didn't get any traction. I got a short story in a Judge Dredd comic once, and he's not even in it. So I was really bummed. But I've been trying to either one of my bucket lists was Dredd, RoboCop, Terminator, Predator. I would want to work on those comics. That's my jam. All that stuff from the 80s, RoboCop.
How can you not include Aliens in that?
Well, yeah, Aliens too, but if I got to do the Space Marines, hang on. One of my Judge Dredds fell down here, and then I want to show you this real quick. I'm just gonna put him over here next to Arnold.
Yo, he is the law.
Do a little tour.
He is the law. Do not let him fall.
So I got 3A Dredd and little Dredd and Arnold and Thor and Kaneda, and then I got the die-cast RoboCop. And sorry, I'm in the middle of working, but you can see Ed 209 over there. Anyway, needless to say, that's I would want to write those comics. And I was trying for years to get on Dredd. So I have a lot of cyberpunk is kind of near and dear to my heart. After Southern Cross, that Image, and Mother Trucker, you can tell I love cyberpunk. But I feel a lot of the juice in comics today has been taken out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you pick up any Marvel and DC comic, aren't we just reading talking heads? They feel very slice of life, right?
I mean, look, I don't know, man. I've read a couple things here recently from Marvel. I mean, the main short series I would say I read would be Bishop War College, that was drawn by Sean Damian Hill. I mean, Sean's a phenomenal artist. I don't know if you know.
What's it called?
Bishop War College.
Bishop.
Right? Yeah, and I mean, I really dug that story. But Bishop, as well as Deadpool, I've always been my favorite X-Men, because I think they're very interesting characters in the fact that it's hey, I really want to help. I really want to help. Dude, you're an asshole. Look, I really just want to help. You're an asshole. Yeah. I really want to help. You're an asshole. Fine, man. I'll leave you all alone. Hey, bro, we really need your fucking help. We really need your fucking help. We really need your fucking help. That is the story, technically, of Deadpool and Bishop in so many moments.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it was really well written. I really enjoyed how they used Bishop as a character, as far as making him kind of jaded, but because he's working with kids, so they're trying to work to where he's not he's kind of toning it down a little, because he's from where he's from, so he's got to very much listen. You got to be ready for a fucking a fight, not like a fight where anybody gives a shit about you, but the kind of fight where everyone's out to kill you. That's the kind of fight you need to be ready for. So it jades him in training people a little bit. as well as Sean did so phenomenally as far as bringing the character to life. Like I really feel there's moments in that War College where he really captured like the true essence of Bishop as a character as far as how conflicted he is. You know. So I mean, it was phenomenally done. That I would not say is a bunch of talking heads. There's quite a bit of like stuff in there as far as holy crap, you know. I think it was well balanced. But as far as Marvel overall, man, I mean, I can't say. I mean, I've read the Alien and Predator stuff, but
Oh, I haven't read that stuff yet.
really, I
I
look
haven't read it yet.
the run that Declan just did with Alien. I've still got issue 5. I need to read the last issue. I have not read it yet as of the time of us doing this, but it's. I
I've
love what
kind of
Declan's
already did
done.
that.
Huh?
Like, I kind of already did Alien. Like, Southern Cross was that I did in 2015 to 2018 was my Alien comic that I wanted to work on. Only I wasn't given the I didn't have the license for Alien, so I made it without aliens in it. It's basically like a haunted space freighter in space going to Titan, and it has the same sort of like long, super claustrophobic like space hallways like an Alien one. And it was funny. It was before that video game came out too that I was designing it, and then that crazy video game came out, and I was like, oh, this is everything I want. And yeah, I ended up selling Southern Cross to Universal Studios to be an anime in Japan. Nothing ever came of it. So yeah. But that series was kind of like what I would have done for Alien if I had that license. So in a lot of ways, I feel like I kind of made an Alien comic, but we just had space ghosts.
Every time I bring anybody on this show, I end up having to hit up Dave and being like, "Hey, man, you guys got this graphic? Will you put it in my
Yeah,
box?"
we did 2 graphic novels. We
Huh?
did 2 graphic novels, and then Becky got really busy, so she wasn't writing it anymore, and like it was my only bread and butter. So I was kind of like, I'm getting kind of, it's not happening. So this is a problem for me. So I started writing it, but she didn't really dig that. So we took a break. So we didn't finish the third trade, and I went and did a book for TKO, like a fight, sort of like this MMA fighter girl that takes on like a drug cartel in Mexico. And when I was done, I went to Eric and said, I really want to finish Southern Cross. I'll just write it myself. And then when it comes out, you'll get the money from the trade to cover off the stuff. And he had like different ideas. And anyway, so that was sort of like the thing. So there's like basically 3 issues missing from the third trade of Southern Cross. Maybe it's 4. Maybe it's 4 issues.
You made me really want it, and then you made me be like, I don't want to read it because now I know that it's gonna.
To be fair, the first 2 books are standalone stories. Like you can just read them, and it's like beginning, middle, end.
Now you're just trying to sell your comic book.
It's literally with different characters. Characters. So it's a completely different story, and then some of the characters in the first one show up in the second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
It won't hurt you to read the first 2. They're like 2 different books, so it's fine. And there's 6 issues, so they're meaty.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do 4 or 5 issues, even though the one I'm about to do is 4 issues. But the one I'm doing now, like Death Dealer 2099, is wild, man. It's the Death Dealer himself is like a bounty hunter, and the helmet is like a demon, and it talks to him, and it just wants to eat souls, like souls of bad guys. It loves vengeance and justice, and it just wants to like. It's a soul eater. And the dealer himself is just trying to make as much money as possible to get him and his daughter out of Lowtown for a better life. And of course, the helmet doesn't really dig that. Right? But what's cool is when the helmet, when the Death Dealer goes out to like catch bounties for the cops, because it's kind of scenario where it's like RoboCop, where the cops are like, oh man, we can't handle this gang. We gotta get Death Dealer. We're getting smoked here. he comes in, and when he's about to like waste a bad guy, the dealer reveals what the true crimes and sins of the bad guy are, and the dealer almost automatically is like, yeah, so how much is he? Like, how much is he worth? And then he wastes them. So I do a lot of subversion where I make you think like the bad guys are like really cool, and then the dealer shows up and tells you what they're really like. And it's offset by a second story that is about this character named Dr. Dust, who is she has a twin, Danny Dust, and they're scientists trying to put their father back together. And so they build a drug empire off alien DNA to make this dust that the whole world is hooked on, especially Lowtown. And they use the money to finance their science experiment, their giant science experiment. So it's basically the dealer uncovering this plot by Dr. Dust. They're drug dealers. Like, everyone's hooked on dust. It's like, if it's super cut, it's called weasel dust. And then the richer you are, the smoother your dust. So if you're like super rich, you have super pure dust, super smooth dust. And it gives you like, so all these different dusts give you a different high. It's crazy.
You really like to put social commentary in everything you write, I see.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a satirist. Like, the whole thing is satire.
What do you do? Is there anything you do satire-wise in the ring?
I have a million times. Like, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool satirist. I know I've done it in the ring a million times, for sure. I mean, if you go into my social media, you go back, like, I think a match or 2 matches, there's this venue that we wrestle in, and it's like an Olympic swimming pool that they've emptied out and turned into a nightclub. So you dance in the Olympic swimming pool, right? So we have shows there, and we put the ring in the middle of the pool. So we had a show coming up recently called Hardcore Heat. So I'm part of a tag team called the Sexy Beasts, and my tag partner is Sexy Eddie, who's kind of like a Quebec legend, and he's kind of an indie wrestling legend. Like, if you know who Joey Ryan is, like, he got all that stuff from Eddie. That's all Eddie.
Oh, I know who Sexy Eddie is from ROH.
Yeah, so Sexy Eddie is my partner. He's a good friend of mine. Like, we travel together, and he's one of my best buddies. He's amazing. Funniest guy you'll ever meet. Like, just give you the shirt off his back. He's just a total sweetheart. And so I said, Eddie, we're fighting in a pool. So I got this really good idea. I think we should dress like either like scuba divers or like Baywatch. And he's like, what are you talking about, dude? I know, I'm going to come out in a life preserver with goggles, and like we'll have like those swimming noodles. And he was just like, what? So every wrestling show is booked a bit like a circus, right? You're going to have your hardcore technical match. You're going to have your maybe hardcore match with tables, ladders, chairs, and glass. You're going to have your like high flyers, high spot guys, both in tag team and not in tag team. You're going to have your championship match with probably bigger dudes, right? And then you're going to have a match like me and Sexy Eddie where we're a bit like the rodeo clowns. You're going to have a funny match. You're going to have an Orange Cassidy, no matter what. You're going to have... So we end up doing that a lot. And for our age, it's kind of appropriate. Because me and Eddie are both 45. So it's kind of like, it's probably okay that we start wrestling like that. One of the coolest wrestlers I know is like, one of my favorites is Minoru Suzuki from Japan, Murder Grandpa. And he's a very serious wrestler, but at the same time, he's completely not serious. Because he basically comes out and just slaps you to death. And if you think about it, it's a really good thing for an older guy just to come out and like, that's the brunt of his matches now. He just comes out and chops you. So it's smart. It can go on forever. Like, how old is Monaro? Like mid to late 50s, mid
Yeah,
50s.
he's up there, man. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know if he's 60, but maybe.
yeah, I
And
know he's
you go back
definitely
and
up
back
there.
wrestling, right? And you look at the 70s. Oh my God, tons of them were old. Like Mad Dog Vachon. How old was he when he was wrestling? Sometimes he looks like he was like 75.
I just gotta know,
Lot,
Andy. Have you ever met someone else in the comic book industry that like had a moment where they had to, well, not had to, but agreed to like fall into glass and thumbtacks and such?
no, I don't know any. Apparently
So,
there are.
uh,
My buddy Scott Lost he was one of the guys that started, I think it's PW, no, it's a PWG or Ring of Honor. He makes comics now. He does a lot of Kickstarter comics, but he was like a famous wrestler.
Scott
Um,
Lost, I
I think he goes Scott Lost.
believe was Pro Wrestling Gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe because I don't think he was associated with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, maybe it was PWG.
Yeah. I will say from Pete, because I love PWG, man. I watched an absolute shitload of that back in the day. I'm just glad to see Excalibur finally behind a proper commentary table where he's actually like to where everybody can experience Excalibur as he is. I love that dude is by far one of my favorite commentators in fucking
Oh
history.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Period. Yeah, is why the WWE didn't hire him is still beyond me. I think it's probably because he's way smarter, like, IQ wise than Vince McMahon, and he probably would have pissed Vince off when Vince started yelling at him, and suddenly Excalibur, like, just brought it up live on
Yeah.
air and started talking back to Vince. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably, it would have been funny as hell to watch, but I don't think McMahon wanted that, and I think he probably would have been really annoyed when he's like, "This son of a bitch is outwitting me left and right. What the fucking shit?" Like,
Yeah,
it would have made great TV, though. I'll tell you that much. But
it would
I,
have been good.
yeah, I really don't think Vince would have been a fan, man. But I'll tell you what, y'all want some great comics? Make sure you go check out all the links in the description. From Mother Trucker, Death Dealer 299 or 2099, and everything else that Andy has put out. It's phenomenal. As well as we got a link to IWS and their website. You can check him out in the ring. Like I want you all to think about that. Not only can you go and check out the stories and the art that this man has done, and if you've been watching the show, you've been able to see some of the art even though I had to censor some of it because this is YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, and if you have Fight Plus, you can watch my matches on Friday. They come out my if you have Fight Plus, you can watch IWS on Fridays.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a link to IWS's website where y'all can click right there. And I mean, I know they've from being on their website, they've got links to where you can get hooked up to where you can go to be able to watch that, man, because they do some crazier shit over there. And I mean, you've got a man that's an animal who writes about trucks, wrestling, and titties on the comic book side of things, and it's and is way more satirical than most people would honestly, I think, give him credit from based on this conversation, Andy, and what you told me that people don't pick that up. If y'all read Mother Truckers,
Yeah, and obviously, like, as soon as I finish Mother Trucker 3, I'm right into Mother Trucker 4.
yeah,
It's happened.
like take note of what that comic really is because it is a great commentary. Like I said, where we brought it up in the past. Now, I want to let y'all know out there that if you've enjoyed this interview with Andy, this animal we've got over here, what I want you to do is I want you to send him a werewolf. Right? Now, do me a favor, like give this werewolf some really good weed or something so it's like chill. I don't want Andy to get his face ate off, right? And make sure it's got a Divina pizza from Florence, Italy. Jesus Christ. Go fucking Italy? Yeah, from Italy. Jesus Christ,
dude. Greatest pizza in the world is in Florence, Italy, in a place called Divina Pizza, downtown Florence. That stuff is like cake that should be like in the Louvre. It ruined pizza for me forever. Nothing compares to the pizza in Florence. Steak is really good there too. Like steak is ridiculous in Florence.
You went more high class than I think anyone ever had. As far as like, I needed a Divina pizza from Florence, Italy. Like,
Yeah. Or a
geez.
Burkett sandwich from behind the Fitzy. Dude, the food in Italy, and specifically Florence, is the best food I had in my life. I love Paris. I love going to Paris. They have, dude, if you ever go to Paris, they have a street that's pretty much only comic stores. Like, I think there's like 7 or 8 comic stores, maybe 10 on one street, Dante Street in Paris. Blow your mind. And every store has different stuff. One's old stuff, one's newer stuff, one's American, one's like, it'll blow your mind, man. But I love the food in Paris. At one point, I was like, nothing compares to this in the world. And then you go to Italy, and you're like, oh no, the Italians got you beat.
So like I said, a nice werewolf with some Divina pizza, right, and an entire He-Man collection from the 80s, like them real nice old ones. Make sure you get him Castle Grayskull. If you didn't, y'all ain't doing it right. Y'all ain't doing it right at all. Now, I want to point out, if you didn't enjoy this issue or this episode right here, right, what I want you to do is send him the clowns from It. Why is everybody so scared of that thing? It's all based on your own fear perception. Like, I swear. Like, so many people are like, the clown.
Real fast. My trainer, Shane Hawk, when he was first single a little while ago, I got on the call with him, and we were doing a Zoom. And he was in his living room on his couch, and he was newly single. And behind him was a giant poster of Pennywise from It. And I was like, bro, I don't think that's going to help you with the ladies at all in that living room. Anyway, continue.
I mean, yeah, that's true. So, yeah. So, like I said, man, just that big old clown from It, and have it come in with Roman Reigns and be like, he doesn't acknowledge you. And then just have him fuck with Andy, right? It's just...
Oh, I don't acknowledge him. No way. I don't acknowledge him. I'll never acknowledge Roman Reigns. Never.
But again, it's been a pleasure, Andy. I guarantee. Hopefully, we'll see Andy back on another PanCon here not too long, doing something, man. He might draw, he might chat something with a whole other pack of artists, man. Make sure you keep it up with the quest. Click all the links in the descriptions. You can find everything we've discussed in this interview, including a very funny Bobcat Juggalo story that I'll send to you in just a moment, Andy. I'm telling you. And if you ain't rolling for like 5 to 10 minutes from that shit, like, so I'm telling you, this came to me from Nick, and it's funny too, because you fucking know Nick. Like, I'm pretty sure you've seen Nick. Yeah, Nick's a great guy. And I'll have a link in the description to that as well, right? So do 3 things for me. Click all those links in the descriptions. Check it out, right? Well, let's make it 4, right? Because, you got to give it that thumbs up, all right? Then, get your comic on. Have a good night, y'all.
Hey, this is Jim Valentino here on QUESTionnaire.
What's going on? I'm Fred Kennedy.
This is Nick Marinkovich.
I'm Vladimir Popov, colorist of a bunch of cool indie comic books for a bunch of cool indie publishers like Dark Horse, Boom Studios, World Comics, Z2 Comics, IDW, Heavy Metal, and others.
I am the artist from Dead Romans. Make sure to check it out. It's out now.
Writer of Dead Romans.
From Image Shadowline.
And the fan-made Star Wars radio play, Mud 79.
Comics from Shadowline, Image, and everybody else. Buy stuff you like.
I really had a great time on this podcast.
Join us every single week.
And make sure you're watching the QUESTionnaire podcast.
Spidey sense just goes off and you really don't know why.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
And be sure to catch the QUESTionnaire
every week at 7.
He nailed it. First try.
What can they say?
I will drop it like it's hot because I've been told that that's what I'm supposed to do.
Well, That's another party.
Oh shit.